All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to v3.0.8 MTG. I'm your host, Krex, and I will get started on explaining some recent changes to my list. So I've had a conversation with 𝗟𝗜𝗩𝗘 and some others in the review stream yesterday, and I've made a little bit of changes based on their feedback. Notably, not the Karn the Great Creator, Karn Scion of Urza is out of the sideboard. Just sorry, I never got to cast it, but it just didn't really work out, you know? And I have decided to move the Surgical to the side as well, right next to this Extirpate. And in its place, I'm going to play an additional piece of consistency in Candy Trail. This is something that a few other pilots have been testing out with varied amounts of success. It's more prevalent in the Whir builds, but I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and give it a go. Not too many terribly major changes. Besides that, I still got my Collective Brutalities in the main. I did change out the Abrupt Decay to an Assassin's Trophy, finally. That really needed to happen. But yeah, I'll go ahead and queue up a match, and I will be right back. And we are a go. We are on the draw against 𝗟𝗓𝗘 Superscript, it looks like. And this is an absolute garbage hand. We cannot keep this responsibly. This is a bit better. It does have the bridge and one land, I suppose. The stirrings will have to be a consistency piece. I don't believe I need 3 mill rocks. I believe I can survive without 3 mill rocks. Still not looking terribly great. It's going to be a bit slow. And against basic planes, that kind of signals to me perhaps they're on a Death and Taxes list. Or I'm just getting grief scanned. That's perfectly fine. I imagine that my bridge and stirrings go here. Wow, they gave me all the things that I would want to keep, actually. How interesting. I think even though I did draw the lantern here, I will still stirrings for a land. It's just too important that I hit my second land drop. And they allowed me to keep stirrings for some unknown reason. Verdant Catacombs is the pick here. Now let's see if they fire off that Ephemerate again, or if they choose to just start attacking with this Grief. I don't think I could fault them for any choice that they make. There goes the Ensnaring Bridge, finally. Am I going to get Ephemerated again? No? Okay. Well, this is definitely going to fetch up Basic Swamp. And I'm going to play Lantern off of this Forest. And depending on what the top card is for everybody, yeah, you know, you can have a Flooded Strand. I think I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize you now, see what you're working with. Wow, sure. This is built into a sort of blue-black reanimator shell. So the Psychic Frog has to go. Atraxa and 𝗟𝗩𝗙 Architect are in hand. Archaeologist, my bad. The Psychic Frog has to go. That makes sense. They didn't have the blue-black necessary to cast it. Alright, well, I'm perfectly fine with this. There's not really much that I can do here, but I suppose I'll continue to hold up the Lantern. This Grief will slowly chip away at my life total. Is 𝗟𝗩𝗙 Architect a base 03? Or is it a base 1/4 or something? It's base 03. Okay, that's nice. And here they must be firing off this 𝗟𝗩𝗙 Archaeologist, right? Correct? No, they don't. Interesting. I mean, I will eventually draw some sort of either a Collective Brutality, an Assassin's Trophy, or an Ensnaring Bridge to get rid of this Grief. They're going to have to do something. They kept the Polluted Delta on top. Are they... What on earth are they doing? Well, there's the Collective Brutality. Now, this Needle... What would I actually want to put this Needle on? I think I want to put it on Priest of Fellrites. Yeah, just like that. And I'll go ahead and play out this Shredder. That Collective Brutality will answer this Grief. And I'm just going to be chilling for a little bit. My opponent will eventually find the mana to hardcast Atraxa, and that's fine. Let's go ahead and remove some of these stops. They're just not necessary. And I really don't want them to have this Goryo's Vengeance. So they're going to cast their 𝗟𝗩𝗙 Archaeologist here. My goodness. Mill 3 cards. You may put a non-creature, non-land from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and mill them. I really don't want them to have that Goryo's Vengeance. Okay, and let's see what they hit. Marshflat's Grizzlebrand Flooded Strand, so they actually did not hit anything, which means I'm going to continue to take damage. I think that's okay. Let's go ahead and kill their Grief. Oops, 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 wrong target. Let's go ahead and kill their Grief right here. Mill that Psychic Frog, which they definitely cannot have. You know what? Prismatic Ending is actually fine. If they hold the Prismatic Ending, then I can Thoughtseize it. They're choosing to hit the Shredder. That's interesting. Yeah, you got it. And now we're just going to be in a very slow sort of beatdown with my opponent having the inevitability of eventually hitting 8 mana. I could hold on to this Thoughtseize, and I think I will. I don't necessarily know if I want to get that Atraxa out of their hand quite yet. You know, for getting grief scammed, I'm actually in surprisingly good shape. I took care of the grief. My opponent doesn't have terribly many resources. It's just all of these dang Surveil lands. And yeah, that's definitely the sort of card that I would want to save a Thoughtseize for. It was a... it was an archive of sorts, right? I'm just not... I just don't know it was a meticulous archive. There we go. All right, so Blooming Marsh off the top. Codex Shredder on top of that. Fantastic. Using their meticulous archive at the correct time, I believe. And if they find a Goryo's Vengeance here, then it's just game over. Finding an Atraxa is not necessarily game over. But they do probably need to cast that Tangent Indulgence now, just hoping that there is a Goryo's underneath the Atraxa. Because, oh wow, look at that. There is a Goryo's underneath the Atraxa. That's terrifying. Well, there's not much I could have done about that, except force them to shuffle away the Tainted Indulgence, but I just don't think I was in a place to where I could do that. And now they're going to bring back the Grizzlebrand. They are going to draw a ton of cards, and this game is over. What a shame. That was a bit of a lucky draw on their part. Okay, what can we do against this Esper Goryo's Vengeance deck? We can bring in our Surgical Extraction and our Extirpate, which are going to be uniquely excellent in this particular sort of matchup. Pithing Needle has fringe utility. I could have named Grizzlebrand, possibly. I could have kept it in for Priest of Fellrights. It's still good against Psychic Frog to a certain extent. I think I will go ahead and keep that in. The Duresses are good. I think Collective Brutality is good, specifically as removal for grief. So I'm interested in these cards here. I don't think I'm interested in my Terra Sunders or any of my actual creature removal. I don't think I want the third Pithing Needle. What do I want to take out? Grafdigger's Cage is excellent. The Underworld Cookbook, probably not so much. I could take out the Candy Trail as my worst form of consistency, as much as I'm not sure that I would want to do that. Is 12 discard effects too many discard effects? I feel like 12 might be too many, and I feel like I don't want to necessarily go down on consistency. So perhaps the Duresses come out. What would Duress hit that Inquisition does not? They don't play the One Ring. I'm really struggling to think of a 4 or 5 mana like instant or sorcery that they would have. So I think I actually am no longer interested in Duresses. I think I'll keep the Collective Brutalities in. And I think Surgical and Extirpate is fine. I just feel like if I'm going to lose, then I'm going to lose. Let's just go ahead and run it back. Just like that. I would like to be on the play, thank you. This hand is a Keeper Rooney. If my opponent gets sloppy with their triggers on Grief, no, they don't run Persist is the problem, so they have to Ephemerate it. But I still have that Extirpate. I have the ability to do a build your own scry with this Bauble plus the fetch land. I really wonder what my opponent's doing here. They're just continuing to burn time on their clock. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. But it's not actually serving my opponent's needs right now, I think. Perhaps they have an extremely gimmicky hand that they're wondering about. If they're trying to go for something gimmicky, then this Extirpate should probably take care of it. And they have decided to mulligan. And mulligan again. All right, well, let's go ahead and play our things. Holding up this Extirpate. What is my opponent going to do here? Hollowed Fountain, untapped. Am I getting grief scammed again? It looks like I am getting grief scammed again. Okay. That Extirpate scared them. They took it. Probably going to take the Ensnaring Bridge too. All right, that's very good. All right, let's see what's on the top of my deck. The Mycosynth Gardens, I don't really want the Mycosynth Gardens, so I will go ahead and fetch up the Shockland here. Lantern of Insight, you say? Well, this Ancient Stirrings is going to disappear. I could use it as a kind of gain 3 life to make them ephemerate this grief. I think that's probably an acceptable use of Ancient Stirrings in this particular situation. My opponent's running really low on resources. They have a prismatic ending on top of their deck. I think, you know, I think I'm just going to pass the turn. Do they rebound here? They know that I have a Stirrings in hand. They are rebounding. What on earth are they doing? Casting Prismatic Ending on my Lantern of Insight? Yeah, I'll go ahead and make you shuffle. That's fine. Oh, no. Okay, good. They have another land. That Prismatic Ending is gone. So, Ancient Stirrings, save me. Do not play your land drop because I might have to get an Urza Saga here. I did not find an Urza Saga. Instead, I found another Lantern of Insights. So they have one unknown card in hand. Ooh, Priest of Felrice is kind of terrifying. Oh, they're going to have to draw that. Fortunately, it's a Pixis on top of my deck. And not something like a Codex Shredder. And a Psychic Frog. That's scary. For a mold of 5, it was a pretty dang good mold of 5, I think. And now I'm just kind of priced into taking this Prismatic Ending and hoping they don't draw anything terrifying. But I am definitely behind here. Let's go ahead and take that Prismatic Ending. Hopefully they don't have another one on top. And it's a swamp. I can give them a swamp, that's fine. And I can give them an island. Alright, I'm going to take at least 4 here. That's fine. Swamp is gone. And I will exile this Atraxa off the top of their deck. I just simply cannot afford for them to discard it to their Psychic Frog. So upkeep is an exile here. I don't want that Inquisition anyway. I will take a Codex Shredder. And I will mill that Wrath of the Skies. Alright, Shadowy Backstreet is fine. You know, I don't think I'm winning this one either. I'm down 2 Stirrings and an Ensnaring Bridge. I've got a whole plethora of just little beaters in play here. You can have a Grief. Presumably. They might mill the Grief. They do mill the Grief. They can have a Thoughtseize, though. Thoughtseize is fine. Feel like they might be doing some sort of tricksy stuff here. This is activating as a sorcery, correct? That's right. How interesting. They keep the Thoughtseize in hand. So here's what they could do. They could, next turn, 3, 4, 6. All they would have to do is discard not even all the cards in their hand to the Psychic Frog, but just some of the cards. I am priced into digging for something here. And for Mori Vault is just not fast enough. Not sure what my opponent could be reasonably doing in response to this. Pithing Needle, 3, 6, 8. If they just dump their hand in response to Pithing Needle, then Pithing Needle does not cut it. And I'm going to count on my opponent being smart about what they're doing, and I will just shuffle and hope to top deck something. That was not something. All right, we got thoroughly smacked by Grief Scam. I don't really feel the least bad about that, to be honest. Let's go ahead and start up the second match. I hope that my mic wasn't muted literally that entire time. That would be embarrassing, but it probably was. Oops. All right, and we have another opponent, MC 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘, who has revealed a 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘. Let's take a look at this hand. This hand has the ability to find a lot of things relatively quickly, but it's not actually a fairly substantive hand, especially against an aggressive opponent. I'm tempted to go to 6. If they are playing like a Mardu energy list, they are playing Mardu energy, then I actually would like this hand because it's got a pithing needle in it. You know what? I'll go ahead and keep. If my opponent is playing Storm, then I cry. That does not look like Storm to me. That looks like an 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘. All right. So my opponent mulled to 6. I think I will just go ahead and fetch up a basic swamp here. And I will burn one of my Mishra's Baubles to see what my opponent's top card is. That's an Ether Hub. And now I will Inquisition. Double Amped Raptor, Galvanic Discharge, and Basic Mountain. Alright, well, I'm taking one of the Amped Raptors. And I will go ahead and cast this other Mishra's Bauble, just in case, I guess. That's a good draw. Alright, that is an Amped Raptor off Basic Mountain. Let's see what they hit. A Thoughtseize, really? Wow. Yeah, you got it. They're taking my Lantern, which is probably the correct play here. And this Ocelot Pride is just going to wreck me. Well, let's go ahead and play my Pixis, my Shredder. I'm going to keep the Pithing Needle in hand. And I don't really need all these stops. But I'm taking 4 a turn. That's going to be 5 next turn, 6 the turn after that. It's going to be a lot. Don't disrespect Ocelot Pride. It gets really big really quickly. This is a Flage? Nope, it's a 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘. Okay. Alright, so I'm under the gun here. I need to find an Ensnaring Bridge and fast. Is that fast enough? Profane Tutor will come off Suspend. I'll take 4. They'll play 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘, fall to 10. I will suspend Profane Tutor again. I'll take 10 and die. No, it is not fast enough. So I will go ahead and Blind Exile here. And I need something good. Collective Brutality is good. Urza's Saga is also good. Now this Collective Brutality will save me a little bit of life. And I think I will just cast it here. I'll go ahead and kill a creature. Do I want to gain life? I don't think so. I think I want to get this Pithing Needle into play. And use my next turn to counter 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘 that they're probably... Oh, they actually can't cast 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘 quite yet. but that's okay. They have the ability to flip an Ajani immediately if they can, but I don't think I care about that all that much. And with the Ocelot Pride off the table, I'm not sure if I care about Goblin Bombardment either. I might just hold the Pithing Needle, honestly. Yeah, I'll hold the Pithing Needle. They're not going to cast Gigantha this turn. But they are going to cast another Amped Raptor. Playing a Guide of Souls, huh? Oh, that's scary. Two +1/+1 counters and a flying counter. On their Amped Raptor. Okay, I am still in the market for an Ensnaring Bridge. Which I'm probably not going to find, honestly. Pithing Needle doesn't actually help against this board state. I think the thing that I'm scared of most right now is probably a Goblin Bombardment, because that'll just insta-kill me. But my opponent thought seizing that Lantern off of the Amped Raptor. I think that's what did it here. They're just going to swing in with everything? Yeah, I'll go ahead and... Why can I not make a construct? Create 2 tap, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. Yeah, this has the ability, right? There we go. That was interesting. Now this is going to bring me to 1. So I essentially need to top deck Ensnaring Bridge right now. Or something that leads into Ensnaring Bridge. Wow. 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to kill me. It doesn't matter. Well played. Alright, so we are playing against Mardu Energy. What do I want in against Mardu Energy? I want my Fatal Pushes. I want my Toxic Deluge. I want my Path of Peril. Do I want my Blood Chief's Thirst? I think I'm going to try and shove it in there, but I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to fit it. Pithing Needle would be lovely to have, but I don't know if I necessarily need it. What do I not necessarily want in my deck? I don't think I need all of my Thought Seizes. I'm going to set them over here, but I think this is going to be kind of my trim spot. I think I need to play to the board more than I need to play to their hand. They're just going to hand dump so quickly. Do I need both Underworld Cookbook and Grafdigger's Cage? Let me think. They have Chthonian Nightmare, but I'm bringing in a third Pithing Needle, and Chthonian Nightmare isn't usually played as a 4-of. Profane Tutor is probably too slow. I'm going to side up my Profane Tutors. If I sided like this, it would leave me kind of pitifully low on discard. I might be interested in siding out additional consistency for discard, but I'm not entirely certain about that. I could side out the Candy Trail and leave a Thoughtseize in. How do I feel about that? I'm not sure. Am I able to side out a mill rock? I think if I'm siding out all this discard, I don't think I want to side out my mill rocks. I will try this and see what happens. Perhaps I didn't need the third pithing needle. This hand... It's a keep. I'll keep this. Now, I don't need an Urza Saga on turn 1. What I do need is an Ensnaring Bridge. And my opponent kept 7, which is terrifying. They milled an Ocelot Pride? What are you working with over there? Did she keep a one-lander? Yeah, I'll take an Ensnaring Bridge. How interesting. Did you keep a one-lander? Well, I'm drawing plenty of lands myself. Do I blind Pithing Needle something? I don't think that's correct. Thoughtseize, of course. The Ensnaring Bridge just coming up a little bit too early. Although I suppose I didn't need to pop my bauble quite right away, did I? I could have waited until this turn, actually, and then slammed an Ensnaring Bridge on turn 3, perhaps. So my opponent is off to a relatively slow start, which I'm perfectly fine with. And I think I will take the opportunity to just make construct tokens. If that Ocelot Pride never gets off the ground, then it is a lot less scary. And this will give me a little bit of agency in case they cast something like an Onyxilus. My opponent has gained their first energy of the game. And there's the Ocelot Pride. There's the Goblin Bombardment that I will be needling shortly. Glad I saved that needle. I really didn't need it. And I don't think I'm going to get aggressive here. I don't think that's necessary. I'm just going to make my blockers. Grab my Lantern of Insight. Do I fetch this Lantern away? I think I will fetch the Lantern away. Ah, well, now I have to grab a shock to do it because I have the swamp in hand. Oops. If I lose this game by 2 life, then it's my own fault. And you know, my constructs are pretty heckin' chonky. I think I can afford one attack. Do I want them to have this Guide of Souls? I mean, not particularly, but I also don't want them to not have it, you know? Like, I would be more worried about, like, an Obnixilis or something in this situation. They have 4 unknown cards in hand. Complete unknowns. And a 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘 Pariah. That's fine. That will be answered by this Assassin's Trophy in just a little bit. Honestly, maybe... Huh. Maybe I answer the Ocelot Pride here. Maybe... No, I think I need to answer the Ajani. Alright, now I need to exile the Flage. That's just going to be a problem, I think. Although I don't need to exile it quite yet, do I? Okay. Wow! That's a lot of stuff. Well, they have 1 unknown card in hand. If I draw this Assassin's Trophy, I use Assassin's Trophy on, like, a 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘, for example. I get them to shuffle their deck. I will be taking 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I can block 3 of that. So I would be at 7. So I could theoretically survive a Flage. But they're going to have another Guide of Souls here. So I would actually be at 5. So that Flage does need to go. I'm going to draw the Assassin's Trophy. And I really need to kill this Ajani, like, right away. I'm very much on the back foot here. These Urzasaga Construct tokens are quite nice at blocking. Let's go ahead and kill the Ajani right now. Nice. That just went. Yeah. And they are choosing to search. You can have an Ether Hub. I'm fine with that. Interesting. They didn't swing out. I feel like they should have swung out. All right, well, Ensnaring Bridge or Bust yet again. I have quite a few looks at an Ensnaring Bridge here, actually. What are they doing? Ah, well, yeah. Oh, there you go. That is trouble. That's a lot of trouble, actually. That's a lot of trouble. All right. So that will demand a needle. Loses 2 life. That's insane. I don't think I'm going to win this. I think I'm going to exile with Pixis. Well, there's the pithing needle. That's funny. I will die if I do not have an ensnaring bridge right now. So this needs to go turn into a Pixis. I'm gonna have to find bridge into needle basically immediately while my opponent doesn't actually have any good cards on the top of their deck. Ancient Stirrings will not cut it here. Path of Peril will. Path of Peril actually kills their entire board, right? And unfortunately, they're just going to have to draw the Disruptor Flute. I mean, their Devil tokens are going to die anyway. I just don't think I'm winning this game. So the board wipe will happen. They'll go ahead and deal 2 to me. Then the Omnixilus will deal an additional 4. They're going to have to draw the Disruptor Flute. I don't know if I can even work around that. If they draw the Disruptor Flute, I'm going to have to shuffle the top card of my deck anyway. I'll just have them shuffle. But I'm not winning this game. I would have to top deck exactly Pithing Needle here, and I just exiled one of my Pithing Needles, and I have another one in play. My opponent has all of the agency here. And they got something. They're putting Giganta to hand. Nope, that's not a Pithing Needle. Oh, I could have milled myself. I forgot I needed to mill myself on this turn. Let's see if I would have actually made a difference. Well, it's not letting me find out, but that was just an oopsie poopsie on my part. I left that Blooming Marsh on top of my deck. I didn't need to. Are we just not going to do it? All right, you know what? That's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and queue up round 4. All right, and we are back with round 4 versus Pedro Namatala, maybe? Hello, Pedro. I gotta say, all of my matches so far have been pretty quick. Alright, this hand does not much, honestly. I'm gonna mulligan this. Ugh. This hand does even less. I'm gonna mulligan that too. Alright, so what does this hand do? This hand throws back probably Assassin's Trophy and Candy Trail. No, I don't think it throws back Assassin's Trophy. I think it throws back a land. And if I keep this, then my plan would be either top deck a Stirrings or top deck a land and Stirrings for something, or I could turn 1 Thoughtseize. And then I could turn 2 Stirrings, play Urza Saga, perhaps? It's just not great. But when you're at 5, you don't have many good options. Eldrazi Temple, go. That means my opponent cannot play a One Ring or Karn the Great Creator, which is what I would be most scared of. So let's go ahead and bobble myself here. I do not want another Thoughtseize. I will fetch Shock. And I'm going to Thoughtseize now. I can Stirrings next turn. Wow, they kept this hand, huh? That Kozilek's command is going. And they've just... Wow, I'm just surprised they kept that. That's very interesting. Another bobble. Stirrings. That's scary. Well, they cannot kick their Stirrings this turn. They cannot kick that Sowing Mycospawn this turn. So I think I will Ancient Stirrings here. Ooh, do I grab the Lantern of Insight or do I grab the Ensnaring Bridge? I need to be responsible. I need to grab the Ensnaring Bridge. I don't know what sorts of things my opponent is going to be doing here. And it feels pretty bad, but I think it just needs to happen. Interesting, they didn't do the Sowing Mycospawn right away. A Seiju who shelters all. They must be all in on Kozilek's command or something. I will go ahead and cycle this bobble. Ulamog the Defiler. Yeah, that's stopped by Ensnaring Bridge. I don't think I create a token here, do I? No, I need to slam Ensnaring Bridge because my opponent's going to kick their Sowing Mycospawn next turn. They're going to exile that beautiful Urza Saga. And And they played Eldrazi Temple, another Eldrazi Temple. And they're kicking their Sowing Myco Spawn here. Jeez, that is absolutely brutal, isn't it? And they're going to exile my Urza Saga? Yeah, they're exiling my Urza Saga. That's the good play, I think. All right, well, let's see if they can beat what I've got going on, I guess. I wonder if they have... I wonder what else they have in their hand here. I wonder if they have the ability to beat an Ensnaring Bridge. Talisman of Impulse. Red-green. They can attack with Sowing Myco Spawn here. Ancient Stirrings. Do I take another 3 damage to grab another Ensnaring Bridge? Or do I just grab a Pithing Needle? Or do I just not grab anything? I might just fail to find here. I don't know if it's correct to fail to find. I think I will take the Pithing Needle. I'll use this Candy Trail. Oh, if I use Candy Trail now, then it's not going to actually be that good. Boseiju who endures here, not Boseiju who shelters all. And I will take another hit off this Sowing Myco Spawn. I think that's okay. I'm going to cast this... I'm going to cast this Profane Tutor next turn, and I'm going to look for an Urza Saga, I think. Are they casting their Ulamog the Defiler? Target opponent exiles the top half of their library, rounded up. Yeah, you got it. Hopefully there's still an Urza Saga left in my deck. They got 1, 2... They've already blown up a... Oh, wait, no. 1... Yeah, there's still an Urza Saga left in my deck. I'll go ahead and fetch it. Their Ulamog cannot actually attack, which means I'm not going to get absolutely destroyed by that thing. Oh, right. Cast that mana. All right, here we go. Urza Saga. And I will do this. I'll do this. I will Thoughtseize my opponent. Through the Breach. Yeah. You got it. I'll go ahead and play a Candy Trail here. Lantern of Insight is good. And I still have this second Needle in hand. I don't need to play this yet. Cavern of Souls. They still have an Unknown in hand. They have 1 Unknown in hand, right? Yeah, that's fine. It's still up to my opponent to prove that they can actually beat what I've got going on. I really don't want them to have that Ancient Stirrings. Let's see if I can... Does this have Indestructible? It has Ward Sacrifice 2 permanents, huh? Alright, well, that's rude. Go ahead and kill the sowing Myco spawn because it's the most likely to be able to attack. And they fall for it. Oh. Alright, well, do I have... Oh, I have a needle in hand. Okay, that's fine. You may have a One Ring. Glad I held on to that needle. Yeah, you got it. Still, the onus is on my opponent to prove that they can actually beat what I've got going on. I think I've got another Codex Shredder in my deck, too. Do I take the risk that they do not have a World Breaker anywhere in their deck? I'm not sure that I do. But it does feel really bad to... Oh, I don't have the ability to grab a Pixis anyway. I'm going to have to win this the old-fashioned way. All right. Codex Shredder. Healing Needle. They just let it go. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna auto yield to this. And they still have one unknown card in hand, which kind of worries me. I will start pretty aggressively milling them, I think. And I don't need to be super aggressive with this Candy Trail. I will win as long as I make sure to not mill myself. I might not actually even cast this Ancient Stirrings. Yeah, I'm not going to. Alright, you mill. That's an Ugin's Labyrinth, you mill. I'm just waiting for the World Breaker. That Kessig Wolf Run is kind of scary, and I'm going to have to mill that, I think. I'm going to Inquisition them next turn, and I'm going to see what they have in their hand. Boseiju Who Endures is fine. I have a needle on that. And honestly, if I have a way to remove that needle, then I'm just going to be buried in the dirt anyway, and it just doesn't matter. Alright, let's go ahead and mill that Sowing Myco spawn. Devourer of Destiny is fine. And I really want to see what's in your hand. It's nothing. Okay. So it's literally, this game is literally just about top control at this point. Come on. I'm going to remove their upkeep stop. Yep, you may not have an Ancient Stirrings. But you may spend all of your mana casting the Sowing Mycospawn that just does not matter. You don't have anything to search out of your deck that's better than an Eldrazi Temple, then I think it's okay. Fortunately, they have an Emrakul. Of course they have an Emrakul. And all 3 of my Pixuses are in exile. Alright, well, it's unfortunate, but I cannot beat that. If they hadn't hit all 3 of my Pixus with the Ulamog, then it would have been fine. Wow. How to turn the tables, huh? Okay, so this is a big boy through the breach. Red-green, Ancient Stirrings, throw Emrakul at you build. Of course they have Emrakul in it. I should have known that. How do I want to play this? First off, the Underworld Cookbook is bad. Grafdigger's Cage is similarly bad. Pithing Needle is kind of good. And I think I want a Pithing Needle. Do I want Duress? Over Inquisition? 100%. Inquisition is not good. Duress is good. Now, what else do I want? I think I want the Terra Senders in. The Assassin's Trophy, I'm not convinced I want a 3rd. And actually, this matchup will go quite a bit faster. If I'm going to be siding out a consistency piece, unfortunately, it's probably the Candy Trail. I got a bad feeling that I'm going to be absolutely wrecked. This hand is turn 1 Lantern, turn 2 Collective Brutality off of a Saga, and turn 3 Bridge. Given the circumstances, I will keep this. My opponent needs to prove that they can answer Ensnaring Bridge. Through the Breach is a great way to answer Ensnaring Bridge. Would you look at that? I am going to Collective Brutality here. That mode, cast, target, like that. Probably going to take the Through the Breach. Actually... Oof. That hurts. If I had gone on a Duress, then I probably would be okay. There's a Breach, Kozilek's Command. And then Worldbreaker. Well, I gotta take the Kozilek's Command with this one. That's just... wow, that sucks. I think my only saving grace here is that my opponent is not going to be doing any of this anytime soon. But I'm just not sure that I can afford my ensnaring bridges to be extracted from the deck. And of course, Assassin's Trophy was right underneath of it. Yeah. So I have two options. I can either just allow the Stone Brain to take my ensnaring bridges and then just go full on the Urza Saga beatdown plan, which is a little bit harder to do when they have the stuff in their hand that they have in their hand. Or I could cower behind an ensnaring bridge, get my Pixuses exiled, and then just never win. I think I am pressured into doing this. And perhaps my opponent will Beseiju my Urza Saga instead of activating the Stone Brain like they really should do. And I'll be okay. But I don't think they're going to. Yeah. You got it. They chose Extirpate? You just threw that away. Also, what's the last card in their hand? Why did they choose Extirpate? That's really strange. All right, well, here I'm just going to go ahead and probably needle both Beseiju and the One Ring. And just hope that I can kill my opponent before they get the opportunity to do anything about it. Because they're not currently doing too hot on their lands. Seiju, who endures as a land, and for some reason, the One Ring just as a fog. And for some reason, I don't actually know what their last card in hand is. I think I just... Oh, they have protection, right? Well, I'll go ahead and just suspend Profane Tutor here then. They could through the Breach of Worldbreaker. No, they actually didn't, huh? I guess that's fair. I will Thoughtseize them. It's an Ulamog the Defiler. I should have known that. Well, I can take the Through the Breach. Okay. Wow. Urza Saga Cheese won that game that I had no business winning. Again. Urza Saga, man, it's just so good. All right, so knowing a little bit more about their deck, I didn't even side in Extirpate. They probably could have named, oh, I don't know, anything else. It's just so strange to me. I've got 3 Pithing Needles, that's fine. I've got Thoughtseize and Duress, which is fine. Collective Brutality... Could those be sided out in favor of something else? Like, say, perhaps an Assassin's Trophy? And what? No, I don't think I will side that out. I think Collective Brutality is going to be just fine hitting their through the breaches and their Kozilek's command. This hand is probably good enough. It's got an early ensnaring bridge, which will handle a lot of their cheese for me. My opponent mulled a 5. I pretty desperately want a Thoughtseize now. Let's go ahead and cast this Mishra's Bauble. I will go ahead and bobble myself here. That's a Thoughtseize. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that. Whatever my opponent's hand does, it's gonna not do that. Probably should have blind exiled there. It's fine. Let's go ahead and make my opponent's hand not do the thing that it was going to do. I will take the Trinisphere. I'll just take the Trinisphere. I've got too many things that I want to play. I said I'll take the Trinisphere. Thank you. Let's go ahead and play Blooming Marsh. Do I want a Stirrings now? No, I'm just going to go ahead and play my Shredder. I'm going to wait until what my next turn's draw is before doing that. Because I was going to play my Shredder anyway, right? And I will Stirrings before my land drop. That's a Carplusian Forest. So they have an unknown card in hand. I'm actually not going to blind exile because I want cards in my deck. Let's see. Ancient Stirrings. If you can find an Urza Saga... Never mind. Lantern of Insight. I need to start controlling their draws now. And they do have an unknown card in hand. They put the Emrakul underneath that. I think that's fine. I'll go ahead and just Mishra's Bauble here. Yeah, I'll let them have the Trinisphere. I'm not going to be drawing playing multiple spells in a row anymore. Let's go ahead and fire off the Thoughtseize. Just make sure that the coast is clear. Coast is clear. Okay, this game is over. I just need to win. I'll just go ahead and play out the Ensnaring Bridge now. It doesn't really matter. Grabbing a Pixis to just make it so that I have exile control over their deck, because they got a lot of nasty stuff that they can recur from the graveyard. Things like Emrakul need to go. Worldbreaker needs to be exiled. But this game's pretty much over. They're going to cast a bunch of Trinispheres, and it's just not going to matter. I'll go ahead and draw this Urza Saga just for funsies. And I think I will just do this now to copy the Pixis with my gardens. I've got a pretty strong lock going right now. I think I'm okay. Let's go ahead and just start exiling. Start exiling. I'll mill that talisman. It just doesn't matter at this point. I have a bunch of needles in hand. I don't really think I actually need to use these. My opponent just mulliganed so low, and then the Thoughtseize that I fired off just kind of sealed the deal. I don't really know what they're casting here. I think it's a Devourer of Destiny. I don't think I care about that. Yeah. I just don't care about anything at this point. Go ahead and grab a Shredder, sure. Oop, don't mill that. Exile that, exile that. Mill that. And exile that, sure, why not? Don't even think I'm going to play the Urza Saga here. I'm going to go ahead and cast this Pithing Needle and name the One Ring. Just why not? Ah, right, it's 3 mana, never mind. This doesn't have any sort of special stuff on it, does it? No. That's a World Breaker. That's gotta get exiled. Goodbye. I think I will exile this Sowing Myco spawn, just because I don't feel like them having it. Okay, this is fine. Abandoned Hope is not correct. Is not in this format. That's unfortunate. Go ahead and mill this Sowing Myco spawn. Okay. That's a scary Emmrakul. Let's get rid of that. Okay, and that's probably the last card that I'll actually need to play. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get rid of the Ancient Stirrings. You can have a One Ring, I guess. Alright, my opponent's going to get one more draw, and it's going to be this Boseiju. The bad Boseiju, not the good Boseiju. Boseiju who shelters all. That makes their instants and sorceries uncounterable. That Boseiju you may not have. I don't think I have a needle on that. Although I'm not even sure it matters at this point. Even if they drew the Boseiju this turn, I'm not sure it matters. Kessig Wolf Run is a really interesting inclusion, and I kind of like that. You know what? 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘 Worldbreaker. You're not going to be able to cast that spell ever anyway. You're going to sack a land to return it to your hand? That's fine. Alright. The dirty work is done. The game's over. Nice. And we got the concession. Okay. Well, Urza's Saga Cheese was nice, I suppose. In this particular game, my opponent was just so far behind. They mulled to, what? They mulled to 5? Yeah, they mulled to 5. It's just a mull to 5. I don't really know if it's anything beyond that. I'll go ahead and boot up the 5th match. I'll be back in just a second. Alright, and after being a responsible streamer and restarting my Magic client, we are in round 5 against Ghostwork. Hello Ghostwork, I would like to play first. This hand has Bauble Pixis, which will help with the consistency. It has good lands, and it has a Thoughtseize. I will keep this. I think I'm going to lead on Bauble Pixis, maybe even double Bauble. Yeah, I'll go ahead and lead on double Bauble. What's the harm in that? And I'll check the top card of... I'm not going to check the top card of my deck yet. I don't need to do that. I can use these Baubles over multiple turns if I really need to. Arid Mesa, huh? Sacred Foundry, Shocked In. Are we facing good old Burn? It's a Ragavan. Alright, well... let's see if I can find a Collective Brutality. An Ensnaring Bridge is probably just as good. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize my opponent, see what they're working with. It's good old red-white instead of red-white-black. Well, that Static Prison has got to go. The Galvanic Discharge, being able to flip their Ajani really quickly, is not fun. But it's also not terrible. Let's go ahead and take the Static Prison. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to adequately control what they get off of this Ragavan. Hopefully they just don't hit one of my discard effects. That would be quite annoying, wouldn't it? It's a Mishra's Bauble. Sure, just a straight redraw. Guide of Souls, huh? I think I'm not even going to fire off the Mishra's Bauble on this turn. I think I'm just going to draw what I'm going to draw and then play Ensnaring Bridge. Keep my hand nice and low. I do need to find an answer for this Ajani at some point. But, you know, I'm not too worried about it right now. They have quite a few cards in hand that I don't know about, and that kind of scares me. Fortunately, they just gave one of them away to me. I appreciate that. Yep, they're going to go ahead and flip their Ajani now. Tells me that perhaps the card on top of my deck is not an answer to Ajani. I'm going to take 3 here. And I could take an additional 3 here, fall to 10. Yeah, I'm going to fall to 10. So Ajani doesn't need to be answered right away. And I will exile this card that they saw off the Mishra's Bauble. I don't think that it's an answer to Ajani if that's what they did. Grafdigger's Cage is not something that I want in this situation. a lantern would be really good here. I will stirrings. I can find an underworld cookbook, which is a temporary answer to 𝗟𝗓𝗓, I suppose. I'm going to have to get rid of this 𝗟𝗓𝗓, unfortunately. And now I'm all out of consistency, so I'm just straight up in top deck mode. Are they going to surveil the top? Surveil to the graveyard? They did surveil to the graveyard. And I do need to answer this 𝗟𝗓𝗓 fairly soon, actually. It just needs to happen. I'm not really going to be able to outpace what they're doing. Ooh, that's bad. That's bad, actually. I need answers to this stuff now. So I need to top deck something good here, and that's not it. Okay, well. I just wasn't able to establish a lock, and my opponent drew whatever they wanted. And that's that. So it looks like it is just straight red-white instead of white, instead of Mardu. I still want the third Pithing Needle in because they do have the Goblin Bombardment. And 𝗟𝗓𝗓 does need to be answered. Do I want Terra Sunder in? I'm not sure I want Terra Sunder in. That answers what? Static Prison? Goblin Bombardment, I suppose? In that situation, I might just want the third Assassin's Trophy in just to answer a larger variety of things. Thought Seizes are on the chopping block. Duresses, I'm not entirely certain. There's a ton of stuff that Thoughtseize sits that the rest doesn't. Things like 𝗟𝗓𝗓. Things like 𝗟𝗓𝗓. You know, maybe this might be a good side grid. I'll look at it and I'll see. I do want my removal suite in, so the Blood Chief's Thirst, and then all four of these probably should come in. What goes out? I've got 70 cards in my deck that I need to cut. Profane Tutors are too slow. I can see an argument for all four Thoughtseizes being cut. Maybe I don't need all of this removal. Maybe I don't need Candy Trail, and I don't need Grafdigger's Cage. And I feel like I would rather play to the board. And if I'm only going to be bringing in one, if I'm going to only be keeping one Thoughtseize, I think that's fine. Yeah, I'd rather play to the board. Let's go ahead and try it like this, see what happens. I would like to play first. What does this hand do? This hand does something. I'll keep it. It's got double Assassin's Trophy and a Toxic Deluge in it. I will attempt to find my third land here. I don't necessarily need to cast this Lantern of Insight immediately. It would be nice if I could. But, you know, I think I'm okay with that. Do I fire it off of Urza's Saga? I don't think so. I think I need to... I think I need to hold open my Assassin's Trophies, actually. And I'll have Toxic Deluge in case I really need to wipe their board. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll go ahead and grab a swamp with this one. And with this one, I will go ahead and grab a forest. And I'm going to be Assassin's Trophying something on this turn. I'm just not sure what. An Amped Raptor, huh? I think I'm going to see what the Amped Raptor hits. Galvanic Discharge, you got it. Just building up that energy, that's fine. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Save myself a little bit of life doing this. Ocelot Pride, that is kill on sight. I'll go ahead and play my Urza Saga. Do I Toxic Deluge now? I think I'll go ahead and Toxic Deluge now, actually. I'll pay 1 life, give everything -1/-1. I'm trying to experiment with not being too greedy with my Toxic Deluges. And I feel like that was a really good example of it. Flage is fine. Now, do I shock in a Thoughtseize here? That would bring me to 10. I think I want to create a creature regardless of what happens. I'm just not sure if I'll go ahead and Lantern. I think I need the information. Not entirely certain if I actually need the information or not. Goblin Bombardment is scary. They don't currently have any creatures. Amped Raptor is fine. Just bolting me, huh? Alright, sure. I think they're trying to cast Flage here. I'll go ahead and use my second Assassin's Trophy on that. Alright, that tapped them out for the turn. They still have an Amped Raptor in hand. I kind of worry about... I didn't side out my Underworld Cookbook, did I? Ah, thank goodness. Alright. So what I could do here is I could create a creature. Grab Underworld Cookbook. Play a land. And then do I Thoughtseize them? I don't think I Thoughtseize them. I think if they had something worth thought seizing, then they would have played it already. But I'm not necessarily going to do something bigger here. Yeah, that's a lightning bolt. I'll go ahead and discard this thought seize. It's a goblin bombardment. Another lightning bolt, huh? Well, that's lethal. Let's go ahead and do something about it. Yeah, whatever they have in hand, it's just not... it's just not worth thought seizing, I think. Although it might be worth inquisitioning. The Flage is coming off suspend next turn. They can play the Flage next turn. Huh. They can play the Flage next turn. Yeah, I think I'm just dead. Oh well. That might be the sort of situation where I could have played differently, perhaps. I didn't really find an ensnaring bridge, though, which is what I really needed. Maybe I should have been more aggressively digging for an ensnaring bridge, though. That is my first non-positive league, actually. It's the first time I've gone 2-3 with this deck. Interesting. We'll actually do a really quick review here. Give me just a minute. So I'm doing just a really, really quick review of this last game. I'm just not entirely certain where I went wrong. It's entirely possible that I should have Assassin's Trophy the Arena of Glory instead of Assassin's Trophying the Flage. I'm just not entirely certain that that is correct. Yeah, because like right here, I could have untapped. I could have Assassin's Trophy the Arena of Glory, not played Overgrown Tomb, not played Thoughtseize. I guess I didn't play Thoughtseize, but not shocked in the Overgrown Tomb. That would have been an interesting line. So I could have, in their draw step or something like that, Assassin's Trophy their Arena of Glory, which would make it so that they could have Flage. It just wouldn't come as quickly. And then I could have used Urza's Saga to grab a lock piece and start digging for an answer. But if I had done that, then I would have needed to find the answer right now. So I'm not entirely certain that's correct. I think more than likely what happened, perhaps the keep itself was bad. Was the keep bad? I mean, it had a lantern in it. It had a lot of removal. I'm not sure. I think this is the sort of game that I would like to look over on the review stream that will be happening next Monday. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up for now. Thanks to y'all for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will be back Thursday night, hopefully with a positive record, but we'll see what happens.